It's crazy to think that it's been years since we've heard anything about Kingdom Hearts 4, a game that I think it was revealed back in 2022. We got gameplay footage of it and all that other stuff, but it doesn't seem like Square Enix has really mentioned much about it um, since like 2022, and we still have no official release date for this game. A lot of people are predicting that it would probably come out sometime next year, or the year after, but the truth is, no one really knows for sure. And hopefully, that game doesn't get canceled, before it releases because you know, because I honestly feel like Square Enix has an opportunity to redeem themselves after Kingdom Hearts 3 from 2019. Because don't get me wrong, Kingdom Hearts 3, in my opinion, was a commercial success and it actually did pretty well in terms of sales. I think like it did like somewhere between 6 and 7 mil in terms of sales. But the problem is, I still feel like that game should have sold more than it did, especially considering the fact that people had been waiting for that game for almost. I mean, at that point, it had been almost like 15 years because Kingdom Hearts 2 came out back in 2005. And and I remember like it felt like Kingdom Hearts 3 was constantly being delayed to a point where I guess by the time it came out, no one really gave a damn, or maybe it wasn't as much of a big deal as it should have been. But honestly, I feel like the Kingdom Hearts series, as a franchise, it peaked back in the 2000s. You had some of the best games that came out during that decade. And I feel like Kingdom Hearts was one of the more iconic RPGs to have emerged from the 2000s also. People like the first two games, Chain of Memories, the Final Mix. Um, there was a lot of entries within the series that people liked. And I honestly um, feel like the longer Square Enix waits to release Kingdom Hearts 4, the more it might end up, hurting them in the long run. And it might be something that backfires on them potentially because it seems like big AAA video game developers have been using that tactic of delaying the release dates of new entries of big series, and like to a point where by the time it comes out, no one really cares. Like for example, Metroid Prime 4, it came out this past year, and a lot of people were disappointed, despite the fact that they had to wait over a decade for that game to come out. And like I don't know, nowadays it seems like AAA video games, they fall below a lot of people's expectation, or they're just lazy, soulless, slop. It's like you look at the Call of Duty game from last year that came out a couple of months ago. A lot of people completely trashed that game because they felt like it was too woke and it was a money grab and all that other stuff. And I honestly feel like with Kingdom Hearts 4, um, that game has to be a hit. It has to be not just a hit, but a home run, because a lot of people feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 was not as good as it should have been. A lot of people, were critical of the pacing of the story and all that stuff. The graphics and the gameplay and all that was pretty solid, but that game should have been well polished, and there should have been like, minor to like no flaws in that game whatsoever. And the thing is, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 was, I think that was supposed to be like the end of a particular arc, because Kingdom Hearts 4 is starting the Lost Master arc. And I think Kingdom Hearts 3 was the end of the Dark Seeker saga. So, yeah, I mean, it's good that Kingdom Hearts 3 it sold as well as it did, but at the same time, I feel like Kingdom Hearts 4, in terms of gameplay and replay value and all that stuff, it has to be a better game than Kingdom Hearts 3, because nowadays I feel like critics are way more um like they have higher standards nowadays compared to 10, 15 years ago, and they're ready to rip up AAA video game developers if video games fall below their their high standards. And you look at Square Enix's track record within the past couple of years. You look at games like Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and Foam Stars. Those games were all good, but it fell below people's expectations, or people got bored with it very fast. As a result, they didn't sell as much as they should have. And then you have other games that underperform or just downright horrible, like Babylon's Fall or Forspoken or Marvel's Avengers. Like those games were all flopped, and they basically led to, I guess, them losing millions of dollars and them, I guess, cutting staff and making layoffs and stuff like that. And the thing is, we all know that, Square Enix has a lot of like, financial issues because of declining sales. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem like they can put out games that can really capture the interests of casuals like they used to. And honestly, I feel like at this point, Kingdom Hearts is one of the few good things that Disney has going for them, because obviously, Kingdom Hearts consist of, Disney characters like, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Donald Duck, characters like that. And Disney has had their share of controversies from the past couple of years, and they've lost like millions of dollars, and they've gotten a lot of backlash from various things like underpaying workers and child privacy breaches, and then the controversial Milan movie. And it's just like a long list of controversies that Disney has been involved in within the past couple of years, or hell, the past couple of decades for that matter. But yeah, it's like if Kingdom Hearts 4 ends up like bombing, or it's something that underperforms, then that's honestly going to be a really, really big deal. And people are never going to let Square Enix, live it down for the most part, because like, Kingdom Hearts, in my opinion, is one of the more it's one of the more popular IPs to have emerged within the past 25 years. And I honestly feel like once you've achieved that level of, I guess, success with a particular franchise, um, you have to constantly um, put out games that, I guess, that tops the previous game in terms of quality and in terms of, I guess, mainstream appeal and success. And I think that's something that's really hard to do. But on the other hand, you look at the Kingdom Hearts franchise as a whole, for the most part, it caters to children. And I think that's a good thing, because for the most part, the game doesn't have to be perfect for it to be highly successful. I mean, you look at like some of the more recent Nintendo games, you look at Mario and you look at Donkey Kong, highly established IPs, been around for a long, long time. And obviously Nintendo's still, making millions off of those two franchises and IPs, and they're even making, millions off of the more recent like games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, which came out back in 2025. So I honestly feel like at this point, Square Enix knows who their fan base is with in relation to children. I think that's the same thing that Nintendo they've been doing in relation to video games. They know who their audience is, so I guess they know they don't have to cater to adults as much. But there are still adults, or adults who were kids, like years ago, who probably still follow the Kingdom Hearts series, and they want to see how much has changed within the past like decade or so. And if they see something that they don't like, they'll just rip it up, and they'll just be like, what's up with this? What's up with that? Why no one cares? Stuff like that. But as of right now, we don't even have a solid, release date for Kingdom Hearts 4. And I think it's to a point where like, Kingdom Hearts has been, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but it's been off of so many people's radar for the past like year or two, to a point where I don't think too many people really care about it at the moment, because I don't see or hear a lot of people talking about it. And I feel like that's not good, because for the most part, like for a franchise to be as old as it is, and for no one to really, talk about a new game that's supposed to be coming out within like a year or two, that's kind of problematic because by the time, we see more gameplay footage and screenshots and learn more info about Kingdom Hearts 4, how many people are going to care? And it makes me wonder like how many lapsed fans of Kingdom Hearts are there, because you're starting a new storyline and I guess a new saga. And I think this is the opportunity to try and recapture the interest of lapsed fans and I guess trying to bring in, casual gamers for the most part in terms of, I guess, in terms of making Kingdom Hearts relevant again.